I'm going to be packing for my upcoming trip to New York for work. I'll give a brief description of what I'm going to New York for and like broad context on my project. But honestly, this video is probably mostly going to be me and my musings and thoughts on life lately from the past week. So I'm going to New York because I'm on this project on the online fraud detection market. It is a 2-week due diligence project, the worst type of project you could be on because it's really fast-paced and you're typically helping a company evaluate whether or not they want to buy another company. And because of that, we have to operate under their deadlines, which are kind of tight deadlines. And so your lifestyle just like goes whack. But I don't know, I think over the years I've gotten better at pushback. I'm not as likely to just say yes to everything. I wasn't really good at this in the beginning though, because I was trying to be the best analyst there ever was and do everything because I thought that's what I had to do. But literally this week I was like, okay, this other thing got put on my plate. Let me literally send you a list of every single other thing I'm working on. Sent it to the team and was like, okay, you added this other thing, tell me what to cut. And it worked really well. But the work, let me just tell you what it is. Companies will use like your fingerprint or like the movement that you make on your phone or like how hard you press down on your phone to figure out if it's like you using the phone. It's called biometric or behavioral biometrics, and it's evaluating whether or not you are who you say you are by like how you manage your phone. Also, like this multitasking of trying to pack and trying to talk is really hard. So I'll just give you some brief context on the project workstream that I'm working on. So I said that I was working in the online fraud detection space, right? I'm specifically in charge of understanding the competitive landscape. So who are the main players in the space? How does their value prop differ? What do they actually offer? What is their competitive moat? And in other words, like, is it really difficult for a competitor to catch up and do what they're doing? How deep is their technical expertise? Can another company just hire a ton of data scientists and do the same thing? I'm also trying to understand the likelihood of different players expanding to like adjacent spaces. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. As I'm packing for this trip, it's 10:10, my flight's at 1:30. I've just reflected on how I don't get as excited anymore. I used to dress up in blazers and business clothes during high school. So like 14-year-old Jenny would love to dress up the way that I do now for work. And I've always wanted to fly around and take business trips, and that's literally exactly what I do. I just don't get as excited, which is not my fault. I think it's just the way our brains adapt to situations, right? Like I can't help but not be as excited each time because I kind of do this very often. I'm trying to root myself in gratitude and like remembering how much I wanted all of this. I remember working at my firm was literally one of my dream jobs when I was graduating college. I think I cried when the partner called me to let me know that I actually got the offer. And now I have to remind myself, like, this was your dream job. But that being said, I was talking to my mentor the other day. He told me, hey, like a few years out of college, you have the most flexibility you'll literally ever have in your entire life. I don't have kids. I'm not in a serious relationship. There's literally nothing tying me down to San Francisco. He was like, why don't you just try something that you wouldn't try in a few years because you're going to be more averse to risk. And he was suggesting things like go to a startup because you know, that's more risky. And then my mind just went to like, maybe I'll go to France and do art. Maybe I'll literally quit and just go do something that I like truly wanted to do, which is either art or a combination of like art, being in a new country and working with children, because if I could do honestly anything, like I feel like I'd actually be a preschool teacher. I'm so happy in my current job, like literally so happy. Going out and trying something else just has higher risk, but I feel like I should do it. I guess a few highlights or funny moments in the week. My friend accidentally donating like $900, and I literally mean accidentally. So what happened is I took her as my +1 to this gala event for an organization that supports students who are going to college for the first time in their entire family. People tell stories about how this organization impacted them, and then there's an auction where different organizations will donate things, like the Warriors donated these really awesome tickets. A winery in Napa also donated these tickets. So for these specific Napa tickets, people try to like bid it up, right? Because you're trying to get people to donate more money.
Looking for 26, 26, and 28, go 28, bid 28, now 28, 28, and 3, go 3, bid 3, now 3, 2,800 is bid, now looking for 3, go 3, bid 3, yes 3, 2,800 is bid, now looking.
My friend was trying to like help increase the price, and so it was at like $800, and she was like, okay, like $850. The auction just stopped there, and she was like, oh my god, like I didn't mean to actually purchase these, like we just thought that it would keep going up and up and up, because that's like what was the energy in the room. Another highlight was just like the food adventures of this week. I'll just pack after. I can't do both. So I went to Ox and Tiger, and it was a Filipino-Japanese fusion, which is very rare, and it's a tasting menu where they described everything. There were only 2 people involved in the restaurant, so they cooked in front of us, they told us their stories. Everything was around a story.
One of my favorite stories growing up is my mom always used to tell my grandma, don't fry fish inside the house. Next thing you know it, the next morning I wake up, my grandma's in the living room, plugged in her little fryer and frying inside the living room, inside the house. So it's like, you know, I walk out my room, it's stinking up the whole house, and I'm like, man, the smell is so strong. But I always found myself downstairs eating the mackerel. So that's why we have this dish on the menu. But today we did it in a miso style. Usually like you have like miso, Japanese miso style fish. But we did it with our signature miso tamarind, and we made that into a butter sauce.
I think when you go to like nice restaurants, you pay often for like the quality of the food and like how expensive each ingredient might be, and then also the expertise of the chef. What I paid for was more like the rarity of this food, like the Japanese Filipino fusion. They only seat 8 people per reservation for their 8 p.m. reservation. There was only 8 of us. On the other hand, like my other friend and I, we went to Sushi Shio, which was an omakase restaurant. You paid more for the quality of the fish. That was also really good. Also pretty good, like bang for your buck, I think, because like average nicer ones are like $200 to maybe $300 per person. And then the other food highlight of the week was going to Rich Table with my other friend, and it was just nice, I think, to go to a place that has Asian fusion influences. I just really like Asian inspired dishes more so than Italian or French cuisine, just because it's something that I grew up with and things just taste more familiar to me. So for example, at the Oxentail restaurant, that was the Filipino-Japanese fusion. There were so many elements within the food that I had tried before because it was similar to my mom's Korean food cooking. For instance, they had this tofu dish, which was some sauce around it. I was like, oh my god, my mom makes this just in a different way. They also had like the pork belly dish, which is a very frequently used meat in Korea. All around great experiences. Anyways, I should probably actually finish packing because my flight is so soon, but I hope you enjoyed the video and let me know what your thoughts are on my thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe if you like this, by the way.